I'm gonna level with you guys. This lot of PCs that I've been going through, I've been a little bit underwhelmed, to be completely honest. First, we had a custom PC that was in a slim, small form factor case. It had a micro ATX board, and that was a little bit underwhelming just overall. It had a Core 2 Duo. It was missing the RAM. It was missing the hard drive. I was not very happy that it was missing components. And then on top of that, we wound up finding out that there were bad capacitors on the motherboard, and overall it just seemed like I didn't get very much out of that system. And then system number 2 was an HP desktop from like 2003, and that was, it had RAM, but the motherboard is completely cooked. There are tons of bad capacitors. And so I started thinking to myself, I'm like, I paid $40. I got 9 PCs. What is the one out of the whole lot that would really make this feel like I got my money's worth? And it would have to have been this one. And the reason for that is this sticker right here. It says Intel Core i5, and this is the style of sticker that was used for 4th generation, or Haswell. And so when I realized that I had a system here that was considerably newer than everything else, even though it's a pre-built, it's a Lenovo, it's small form factor, it's probably limited in what it can do, I was like, hey, this thing at least has some potential. Until I started moving it around and that. Apparently there's loose parts. So we're going to go through it. We're going to see what this thing's all about, see what parts it has, what parts it doesn't. I am just assuming at this point that it doesn't have a hard drive because the others didn't. But I'm also... I feel like there's probably no RAM too. But, we're still going to go through it. We're going to see what it is. This is a Lenovo ThinkCentre. It has USB 3.0 ports right up front alongside the headphone and microphone jacks. Here is where our DVD drive would be if we had one. This is the machine type and model 10AM-0007 US. And as I mentioned, we have a sticker here at least for a Core i5, and we'll see what we actually have inside the machine. Around back, we have another TFX style power supply. Rear I/O is a 9-pin serial, 15-pin VGA. We have 2 DisplayPort outputs. We have a stack of 4 USB that are all 3.0, I believe. Or maybe it's just 5 and 6 that are 3.0. The marking on this is not exactly clear. Then we have Ethernet. We have 2 more USB 2.0 ports, and we have our audio outputs. And there are expansion slots here, but there's no cards at all. And so, moment of truth of what is in here, what was moving around, is literally just the hard drive cage or some kind of cage for something. So this looks like the mounting hardware for a 2.5-inch drive, but I don't know where that would go inside the case. What I can tell right off the bat is there's where the hard drive would be. There isn't one. There's where our optical drive would be. There isn't one. And that's where our RAM would be. There isn't any. Yeah, I can't help but feel like this guy was being at least a little bit disingenuous when he said that there were this many computers. I feel like this isn't a computer. This is a motherboard with a case. Moving right along to our power supply here, this is a 240 watt 80 plus bronze from FSP Group. Fortron Source makes some really good units, so I am not worried about this. What I am slightly worried about is the guy went so far as to pull the CMOS battery, so I'm wondering if that means we don't even have a CPU. So this case does have one of those airflow guides. These 2 clips pull outward, and then you can lift the entire thing up, and it comes out just like that. And then we have 4 screws holding the heatsink down. I really hope that we actually get a CPU out of this. That would be great. Considering this is the primary system in the entire lot that would have like a reasonably good amount of value, and finding out that it's been stripped this far, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily message the guy and be nasty about it, but I am just going to, I am going to message him. I'm going to be nice about it. I'm just going to be like, hey, I thought I was getting computers, not just cases with bare motherboards, and see what he has to say about that. Well, we do have a CPU, so saving grace there. That cleaned off a bit here. And I know with my lighting it's not going to really show up, but this is an i5-4570. So at least we got a CPU out of this. That alone means that this particular system was worth buying, because, again, it was 9 computers for $40. That averages out to $4.44 a system, and that CPU is worth more than that. Alright, we got CPU cooler back on. I threw a couple of sticks of RAM in. We're going to put a CMOS battery in as well, because some computers are weird about not wanting to work without one. And we got a brand new one here from Panasonic. Okay, airflow guide back in, and let's see. There we go. It's always better there. Is that all the way down? Do I have this lined up incorrectly? Am I losing it? I can't lose what you already didn't have. Hold on. I don't know why that took so much force, but it got clicked into place, and it made a couple of nice metal clank sounds as it went in place, so I think we're good. Okay, we got a USB keyboard, we got a VGA monitor hooked up, and this is going to be kind of a moment of, did I get gypped on the lot or not? Let's plug in. Oh. Well, we're displaying a Lenovo logo already. Okay, so we're in the BIOS. We have a ThinkCentre M83. Let's click into the system summary. It sees all 16 gigs of RAM that I just threw in, because that was 2 8-gig sticks of DDR3. And yeah, there's our i5-4570. That is a quad core, 3.4 gigahertz. Not bad at all. Let's see what else we got here. It had said something about the version of the BIOS. Oh, there it is. BIOS is FBKT72AUS. BIOS date of 01/26/14. Now, the funny thing about this machine is it's in a strange spot. It is in an in-between spot where it's just old enough that the parts that came in it are worth more than if I was to fix it up and try to sell it as a whole computer. It's kind of like I had mentioned about that HP desktop, where we wound up having, a weird-sized power supply that seemed to be functional. I did test it after the fact. It was functional. That power supply would be worth a little bit of money, not a ton, but because it is a weird size, it would be worth some money, especially to a machine shop or something like that where they're using a computer like that. That's where this computer falls in as well from Lenovo. We have a weird-sized power supply that has custom cables that are only for Lenovo. We have a motherboard that seems to be functional, that is obviously proprietary to this model. Those two parts I could likely sell for at least $30-40 a piece, and double my original investment of the entire lot. Now compare that $60 to $80 that I would get for those two parts against what I would get for the whole system if I was to fix it up. Let's say I put in this 16 gigs of RAM, and I put in a hard drive and a DVD drive and maybe a low-profile graphics card, and tried to sell it as a gaming PC, even like a small form factor, like, hey, this is a Steam machine type thing. I'm only going to get $250 for the whole thing, and the amount that I have to spend on parts to make that work is going to be less than $80 from what I make. So, not worth it at all. So yeah, that's going to be the plan here for this machine. It's not old enough to be, particularly useful for anything other than maybe if I threw Linux at it and like made a workstation for myself or for somebody else. But you know, even then, like having to put parts into this already makes it not worth it. That's why I'm going to be talking to the guy, and not necessarily, I really don't want to be mean to him, but I really just want to know, why did he say I was getting PCs when none of them are full PCs? You know, I can't be too upset because it was low price overall. It just really grinds my gears when somebody isn't forthcoming about that kind of stuff. But let's work on one other thing before I end up this video. And that other thing we're going to work on is this motherboard. This is the one that had the oxidization on it. I did spray it down on the couple of spots that I found. There was the one by the plastic piece at the end of the PCI slot, and there was the one that I didn't see first time around that was by the front panel connections. So we have our BIOS file loaded on that flash drive. We're going to see if we can get this thing to go into recovery mode. There we go. Let's see if it'll go through. Yeah. So the instructions that I found on, this was from the Intel forum. They had somebody that uploaded all the files necessary for this a couple of years ago. N. Scott Pearson. I assume you're never going to see my video here, but if you do, thank you for uploading the files for this. I'm currently following along to your steps of doing intermediate flashes, going to version 48, then 99, and then 120. We're doing version 48 right now. That is right here. And then we're going to do version 99 after this. And now here we go to version 99. See if it takes. And wow, yeah, the version 99 totally changed our user interface here for the BIOS. Let's go ahead and get this all the way updated. And now we have BIOS version 120. Yeah, we're going from 99 to 120 now. So this is going to be the last BIOS that ever came out for this board. It's dated November of 2013. And I'm guessing that adds Ivy Bridge support. It might add a whole bunch more support for different kinds of RAM on here. Very happy about that. And there we are. We finished the update. We're at version 120 from November of 2013. Now, I feel like doing a full send on this. This is just for fun. I'm going to throw the two 8 gig sticks that I used in the Lenovo. I'm going to throw them into this board and see what happens. Okay, moment of truth on this. I've got two 8 gig sticks installed here, which is the maximum that this board allows after a BIOS update. So, three beeps. I'm assuming that's RAM. So it actually doesn't do that with just the one stick. So I think that second slot might actually be bad. It's showing the 8 gigs. Let me try reseating the second one, see if I can't get it into the slot a little bit better. I've thrown everything I have at this. I actually didn't just reseat it, I also sprayed it down with deoxit, and yeah, I think that second slot is just dead. And yeah, I can confirm it's the second slot that is bad, not the RAM, and it is not the fact that it was so much RAM either, because these two 2 gig sticks don't work together, but one of them does. So yeah, out of those 5 micro ATX motherboards that I tested yesterday, this was the final one, and it's kind of working, it's kind of not. I'm going to call this a wash and just say that it's not suitable for use in a full gaming PC, because dual channel RAM is pretty important, and it is something that I might find a use for somehow. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm not just going to get rid of it for this. We'll figure something out. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. If I don't see you, have a good weekend.